Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're going deep, really deep into the world of organized crime
Oh, yeah.
with a book that, honestly, it's been hard to put down. It's called Double Cross, the explosive inside story of the mobster who controlled America.
I know, right? What a read.
And to help me unpack it all, well, I had to call in an expert.
Glad to be here. You know, what makes this book so fascinating is that it's not your typical mobster tell-all.
Right.
You know, it's told from the perspective of Chuck Giancana and his brother.
Sam Giancana.
Exactly. I mean, talk about an insider's view, right? Mooney was a major player, top of the syndicate.
It really is like you get a backstage pass to how it all worked. The book follows Mooney's rise.
From those tough Chicago streets.
Yeah, to the very top of the criminal world. But what's really gotten me is it's not just about the crimes.
No.
It's about family, loyalty, the tough choices people make when power is right there for the taking.
And the backdrop to all of this is, well, it's American history unfolding. The Depression, World War II, the 60s, all of it shapes Mooney, shapes his empire too.
And that's what I love about these deep dives. We're not just looking at one man's life.
No, no, no.
It's a window into a whole era.
Absolutely. And the book really brings it to life, like right from the start. Mooney's childhood. Man, Chicago's patch neighborhood back then. That was rough.
I can't even imagine.
Poverty, ethnic tensions, police brutality. It was just everyday life.
Especially tough, I think, for Italian immigrants.
Oh, for sure. You know, constant discrimination, trying to make it in a system that's stacked against you. The book really captures how that molded Mooney's mind.
That feeling of, gotta fight to survive, play by your own rules.
Exactly. It's like the
Maybe.
system's rigged, so you got to rig it back. And out of this environment, you get the 42 gang. That was Mooney's first taste of real organized crime.
Starting young.
Oh, yeah. Stealing clothes, cars as a kid, then boom, bombings, murders before he's even a teenager.
It's chilling how quickly the violence becomes normal.
The streets were his school. Survival meant, well, a whole different set of rules. Loyalty, ruthlessness, doing whatever it takes to get ahead.
Then there's Diamond Joe Esposito.
Uh-huh.
He really embodies that raw power of the time. Control over everything, brothels, gambling, even unions.
And get this, he demanded to sleep with new brides before their husbands could.
I know. It's shocking, but it really shows the kind of control he had.
Total dominance.
So Mooney starts working for Esposito, getaway driver, which almost seems tame compared to what Esposito was doing.
True, but it's Mooney's foot in the door, his intro to the whole Chicago underworld.
But Mooney, let's face it, he wasn't going to stay in the background for long.
Oh no, not a chance.
He had that drive, that ambition. He wanted to be at the top. And the book even talks about how he ordered a hit on his own uncle over a bootlegging disagreement.
Yeah, that's Mooney. Ruthless, ambitious. He was willing to take out anyone in his way. And you combine that with, well, he had charisma, strategic thinking, and it's no wonder he rose so fast.
But amidst all that, there's his relationship with his brother, Chuck. It's really complex.
It is. There's admiration, fear, but also this desire to keep Chuck out of the life.
Yeah, like he almost wanted to protect him from the darkness.
You know, he tried to push Chuck towards a straight life, buy him a clarinet, you know, encourage him to learn a trade. He even gave him money, job offers, almost like he knew deep down Chuck could never escape the Giancana name.
And this whole loyalty versus ambition thing plays out in other parts of Mooney's life, too. Like, he was a family man, married, had daughters, but he also had this long-term affair.
Angeline de Tolve, that was his wife, and Marie Finelli, his mistress. Tried to make up for it, though.
Oh, yeah. Showers his wife with gifts, the whole lavish lifestyle.
The book doesn't shy away from these contradictions, Mooney. He was capable of love, generosity, but also terrifying violence.
We see both sides throughout. Like, he forces a guy to lick a gun to protect his sister. But then, in another instance, he explodes at his own daughter.
Unpredictable. That's what makes him so fascinating. And while all this personal drama is going on, his criminal empire, it's exploding too.
He was building a network, policy rackets, unions. He even had his hands in Hollywood.
He understood power wasn't just muscle. It was about influence, connections, knowing how to work the system.
Like when he took over Eddie Jones's policy racket. Divided the territory, racial lines, geography, minimize conflict, and maximize profit.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And then there's the unions, the Hollywood takeover.
With Murray Humphreys, right.
Yep.
Gave Chicago control of the whole film industry. Mooney's reach just kept growing.
And all this happening during the Depression. While most people were struggling just to get by, Mooney's living large.
It's a stark contrast for sure.
But as his empire grows, So does his understanding of politics. He knew influence had to be bought.
Mayor Daley, Frank Sinatra.
Oh, and let's not forget the Kennedys.
Now that's where things get really interesting. The book suggests Mooney helped get JFK elected,
Yeah.
securing votes in those key states.
But that alliance, it didn't last long. And the fallout, well, let's just say it had major consequences.
Major. We'll dig into all that in part 2 of our deep dive into Double Cross, but before we go, think about Mooney's rise. What stands out?
It's that audacity, right? From poverty to one of the most powerful men in the country. A master strategist, but ruthless.
Absolutely. It really makes you think about power. How seductive it can be, that blurry line between ambition and, well, doing whatever it takes.
And this is just the beginning. In part 2, we'll explore what brought Mooney down and the shocking revelation that ties him to one of the most significant events in American history.
Mooney, he was playing in the big leagues now. Politicians, celebrities, intelligence agencies, all in his orbit. It's easy to see how he might have started thinking he was untouchable.
But that kind of power, it always comes with a price. And for Mooney, that price was going to be steep. His whole alliance with the Kennedys, it started out, mutually beneficial, I guess, but it went south pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, after JFK got elected, things changed. And Bobby Kennedy?
The Attorney General.
He was a game changer. Bobby had this mission to dismantle organized crime. And Mooney, he was target number 1.
Got to sting a little right. You help put a guy in the White House.
Right.
And then he turns around and comes after you.
Talk about betrayal. And then you throw the Bay of Pigs into the mix.
Oh, man, that whole fiasco. Mooney had a lot invested in Cuba. He was deeply involved with the CIA's plan to get rid of Castro.
And when the invasion failed,
Total disaster.
it left Mooney feeling betrayed, angry. He was convinced the Kennedys used him, then just poof, abandoned him when it all went wrong.
I bet. And that feeling of betrayal, it wasn't limited to the Kennedys.
No, not at all. The book suggests that some factions within the CIA were also unhappy with JFK. They felt like he was becoming a liability.
So now you've got this powder keg, right?
Yeah.
A mob boss with a grudge, a determined attorney general,
Oh, and some shady figures in the CIA.
questioning the president's loyalty.
Yeah.
Not a good combination.
Recipe for disaster, for sure. And as the pressure on Mooney builds, his paranoia goes through the roof. The FBI, they're on him like white on rice. Wiretaps, surveillance.
Harassing his friends, associates. There's even this incident with his girlfriend, Phyllis McGuire. They stopped her at the airport.
It shows you how closely they were watching him.
No privacy at all. And even Chuck, Mooney's brother, he was trying to go straight, build a life for himself, but the Giancana name was poison.
He couldn't escape it, got blacklisted from construction jobs, couldn't catch a break. It's tough, that whole sins of the father thing.
Definitely. And then Mooney, in the middle of all this, he makes a decision that has huge consequences for both him and Chuck.
Right, that mysterious package, the one he gave Chuck years ago.
To keep safe, yeah. He told him it was something for his sisters, in case anything happened to him. I've been wondering about that. What was in it?
Well, after all those years, Mooney finally tells Chuck, open it.
What?
Stolen jewels.
No way.
Diamonds, rubies, emeralds. A fortune tucked away in a plain brown wrapper.
Sounds like he knew trouble was coming.
Maybe, like he was planning for a future where he wouldn't be around to protect his family. But for Chuck, those jewels, they were a lifeline when he was struggling.
Yeah, but they also made him a target.
Oh, the FBI, they jumped all over that. Threatened to expose Chuck even though he hadn't done anything wrong. They even used his youngest son, little Mooney, to pressure him.
That's low.
Playing dirty. They wanted Mooney, and they were going to use whoever they could to get him. Chuck was caught in the crossfire.
All because of his last name. And while all this is going on, the pressure on Mooney keeps building. The danger, too. He's got the FBI breathing down his neck.
And there's trouble brewing within his own organization. Remember Sal Moretti?
The soldier who messed up a job.
Yeah, they found him dead. A brutal execution. It was a message to everyone, a reminder of Omerta, that code of silence.
And the aluminum cone they found in his pocket.
Chilling. It meant take care of business, be meticulous, don't screw up.
A warning, loud and clear.
But Mooney, even with all this going on, the FBI, the internal strife, he still seemed to find a way to survive, to stay one step ahead. But the walls were closing in. And his relationship with the Kennedys, it kept getting worse. There's this one episode in the book, really unsettling. Mooney finds out that the CIA, they're digging up dirt on JFK.
Scandals, affairs.
The whole 9 yards, anything to discredit him. Mooney's feeling betrayed, paranoid. He starts to see JFK as a threat.
To him, to his whole operation.
And the book suggests that he starts talking about getting rid of JFK, a permanent solution. It's a claim that's been debated for years, but here it is coming from someone who was allegedly in the room. Chuck.
So now Chuck, he's not just watching his brother's downfall.
Yeah.
He's got this knowledge, this secret that links money to one of the biggest events in American history, the assassination of President Kennedy. What a burden. What happens next?
Tough spot for Chuck, right? Loyalty to his brother, the guy who always had his back. But Mooney's going down a dark path, and Chuck sees it.
And then boom, the biggest revelation of all. Chuck goes to see Mooney after he gets out of prison. And Mooney just casually says, "We took care of Kennedy together."
Just like that. Chilling, right. You can tell, for Mooney, it was just another job, another problem solved.
It's like he doesn't even grasp what he's saying, the impact of it all.
Mooney was so used to operating outside the rules, manipulating everything, that he lost sight of right and wrong.
What about Chuck? How does he handle this?
The book ends with Chuck wrestling with that knowledge. His brother, the man he loved, responsible for one of the most tragic events in history.
Heavy stuff. It makes you wonder, what did Chuck do with that information?
The book doesn't say. It leaves us with Chuck's thoughts, his struggle to reconcile the love for his brother with the horror of his actions. It's a powerful ending, unsettling too.
Double Cross takes us deep into the heart of organized crime. Mooney Giancana's life. It's a web of power, loyalty, betrayal, and the revelations. Shocking.
It really makes you think about history, the forces at play that we don't always see.
This isn't just a mob story. It's a window into a time when the lines blurred, between the mob, politics, the CIA. And the consequences are huge.
It really forces you to confront the dark side of ambition, what people will do for power.
And for anyone who wants to dive deeper, I highly recommend picking up a copy of Double Cross. You can find a link in the episode description. It's a read you won't forget.
Definitely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Sam Mooney Giancana, I'm left with one question. How much of the truth is still out there, hidden in the shadows? What does this story tell us about power, ambition, and the fight for justice? We'll leave you to ponder that.
Thanks for joining us.